Coog and Cassius Eiffel TV here at Wembley for the press conference, the final one for Return of the Saint this Saturday live on Sky Sports. With me I have promoter KALLE SAUERLAND and someone, did he refer, Michael Buffer refer to you as someone from a boy band, or was he talking about the fighters?
I thought he was talking about you.
I think he was.
Yeah,
he
no, I mean,
gave me a little.
You know what I was just about to say, Coog, before we start this interview.
Yeah.
It's like the viewer sees me, but he rarely sees you, and he doesn't see this T-shirt you're wearing today. I mean, not only has I Film London gone and got a top-notch sponsor, they've done it in fluorescent pink. Right? So I don't know if there's about equal rights and something going on in the background here.
Equal rights?
You've been too long in Vegas or something.
Oh, pink's all right. Listen, I'm completely comfortable with my
Back
position.
in Wembley today, no? Yeah. Wembley, yeah? Vegas here, yeah? Anyways, crack on.
I was running out of memory on my card, as you just see. Can you just tell people who I deleted?
I deleted De La Hoya for myself, which...
you pleased with that?
Which I'm very flattered by. I don't deserve it, because you know, he's clearly a much better fighter than I ever was.
Do you know that press conference? It was quite a standard press conference until you started piping up a bit and started getting, not piping up, that's the wrong word, getting riled up a bit. Hello, Paddy. This situation...
He got under my skin, didn't he?
No, I know. This situation... Anthony DIRRELL.
No, not that. This is a reporter who asked the question. Someone who asked the question, was it really got under my skin because we have a bit of a history, DIRRELL and us, you know?
Yeah. Well, who got under your skin? Not the reporter.
Oh, the question.
Oh, the question did. He's a good guy, the guy who asked you one.
My skin sometimes.
Oh, well. I need to get these responses from you, though.
Yeah, but you don't get under my skin.
No, I might try to now.
Prompt.
I might try you now. I spoke to DIRRELL myself in Vegas, and the moment, obviously, I mentioned George Groves, it was kind of like, this is, you know, he spoke about this time and time again, and he come out with the fact that Rebrass referred to him as a bum, and he was adamant that A, George won't get a shot at his title, and adamant B, that he wouldn't come over to England. Now the England thing is obviously down to personal situations if that was to arise, but the fact is, you've got a letter, George said he's got a letter from the WBC, the winner of this fight, Return of the Saint, will become mandatory for Anthony DIRRELL's title, correct?
Well, let me dissect what you just said. It was a rather long statement. Let me start with the fact that he called Rebrass a bum. Now, I'm not Rebrass's promoter, but I am putting on the fight Saturday, and DIRRELL is the world champion of the WBC. The WBC, his federation has ranked him at number 3. So, if the number 3 in the ranking, the organisation where he's world champion, the number 3 is a bum, then I don't know what that makes him. You know, does that make him a little bit better than a bum? In terms of who George has fought, you know, George has got 2 L's on that record. You know, we know that. But that's against Carl Froch. Now, Carl Froch for me is a great fighter. He's a fighter I'm very proud to promoted or co-promoted for many fights all over the world. You know, Denmark, Finland, and all over, and of course the UK. But who the hell has Anthony DIRRELL boxed? Because I had to remind myself on an internet site this morning of who he's actually boxed. You know, so it's not, you know. This is not, in case people get confused, it's not Andre DIRRELL, it's Anthony DIRRELL. Andre DIRRELL was selected in our Super 6 tournament, and you know, I don't know really much about Anthony DIRRELL. I saw him in the corner there, I didn't know he boxed. You know, I thought he was a trainer, you know, so, you know, it's all very well. Listen, full respect to him, he's got a world title now, so we have to respect him. You know, he's beaten Sakio Bika, one of the biggest names in boxing. Sakio Bika in parts of Australia, the biggest name in boxing. Is he Australian? He is Australian. But at the end of the day, it's Anthony DIRRELL. So it's not Andre DIRRELL, the guy who came and gave Carl Froch a very good fight. Now let's go dissect that Froch statement that he made, that, you know, his brother beat Froch. Now that was a close fight. I thought Froch nicked it by a round, you know, but he boxed in Nottingham, so you're going to get a bit of a hometown nod if it's close. It's simple. That's sport, you know. That's sport. That's why an away game is valued higher than a home game if you get a win in football, right? It's to say it's not different in boxing. In sport, playing at home is an advantage, right? Simple, right? You're not going to change that. You've got 7 or 8, 9,000 people cheering for you. It's going to sort of affect the way people perceive things, right? Now, I did a fight with, and this is where my blood sort of went up, was I did a fight a few years ago, Abraham versus DIRRELL, which was due to take place in Palm Springs. Anyone who's ever visited Palm Springs, lovely place. It's about 40 degrees all year long, if not 50, boiling hot. Sold out at the casino out there. And suddenly they realised, oh, shit, these are Armenians buying the tickets, after Abraham fans. So the DIRRELL camp called out a back injury, which apparently was a back injury, but strangely enough, 4 weeks later, there it was. We were boxing in Detroit, -10 degrees. And after Abraham was more or less put into a situation where he made a very bad mistake. He hit DIRRELL when he was on one knee on the floor. DIRRELL went out, and the fight was ruled a DQ. Correct decision, because but what you forget what happened in the context of leading up to that thing. So that there was so much controversy around that fight, to call out now saying, oh, Britain we're going to get robbed or something like that. Not having it. We went to Detroit and got robbed. So let's not throw stones at any glass houses here, right? Finally, will he fight George Groves? Well, he'll have to. He will have to fight George Groves if George Groves wins on Saturday night. That's, or give up the belt. If you don't want to fight George, then it's fair enough. Give up the belt.
Can you clarify the mandatory situation as regards to if George is to be victorious on Saturday? When is the next mandatory due? You mentioned something about a possible voluntary before November.
Yeah, that's a situation. We received the letters this week. The reason it was an eliminator before, quickly explain that, was that Chavez was the mandatory. We would have been next in line after Chavez. Chavez refused to take part in the mandatory, and we now got the version that we are the final eliminator for the mandatory position, the direct mandatory position. Yeah. It's no sort of an eliminator which is going to happen in 10 years' time. The fight. This is a real eliminator, and the winner on Saturday night will box Anthony DIRRELL. The question now is will they allow him to take a quick voluntary in between? That is something that we will discuss on Monday. I want George to win on Saturday night first.
When does that mandatory have to be done by, though? Forget the voluntary for the minute. When does that have to be completed by? Is it a bit more complicated than that?
It's a bit more complicated than that. It's something that you'd have to direct to the WBC. But Mauricio Suleiman is a great president, and I'm sure he'll find the right solution, which works for everyone. So
just correct my knowledge if I'm wrong. Being the mandatory challenger and having that WBC silver title, what is the difference between those two? Are they necessarily the same person?
No, the silver belt is a belt that they've created for people who are on the way to a world title. But the key for us is not the silver belt here, it's the final eliminator. This is the final eliminator for the World Championship. That's all we care about. No disrespect to the silver belt. Silver belt is a very interesting belt for people on the way up, but we feel George is past that. I hope that he wins it on Saturday night, because it's a box checked, and it's a great idea from the WBC, because it allows people coming through to fight for something. But
does it eventually leave if you were to? Yeah, because James Segal held that belt for a long time.
It eventually will put you into the mandatory position if you hold it long enough. That's, once again, you have to check with the WBC how long that is. Yeah. But it's a way of creating interest around fights for younger fighters coming through. For guys coming through the rankings. Patrick Nielsen, a kid from Denmark that we promote, he held that title. That led to a world title shot a few months ago. So it's a situation where this is for us a final eliminator. That's the most important thing. Saturday night it goes. Officially, it's 3 things at stake. There's the European title, there's the WBC silver belt, and the final eliminator. But we want the world title. That's what George wants. That's my MO as his promoter, what he's given me, and we're trying to deliver it.
Okay. Moving on now. Germany next week in Kiel.
Yeah.
Our Paul Smith takes on your Arthur Abraham.
King Arthur.
King Arthur.
Well, we're not in Germany yet, but when you arrive, very careful. He takes offence if you sort of address him by his name.
I take that same offence here when people don't address me by my title.
King Coog, yeah.
King Coog. Rate me Paul Smith's chances of causing what would, in some people's eyes, would consider an upset.
So say that again, the last bit?
Rate me Paul Smith's chances, in your opinion, of going out there and...
You know, I've made the fight, you know, so it's a fight where I think that, you know, he's got a fighting chance. He's got to come in and he's going to give it a real crack, and that's what makes good TV. That's what makes good sport. Is someone who's actually going to really take the fight to Arthur. At the same time, I'm going to be honest about it. I think, you know, Arthur is on his day the biggest puncher in the division. You know, he's huge. He's a huge puncher. Once that power starts landing, I don't know how Paul will take it. You know, it's a little bit a case of which Arthur Abraham turns up. You know, we've seen the good and the bad this year. You know, we saw a great Arthur Abraham fighting against Robert Stieglitz earlier this year, when people had written him off. You know, said, "Oh, he's too old. Forget it." Anyways, he went on and put on a show and had him standing KO at the end. He had him on the floor in the last round and won back the world title after being written off. He then went and quickly defended against a not so well known Montenegrin, you know, in a voluntary, but it was a good school boxer, and it was a win, but it wasn't anything that, you know, that put gloss on him. So you see that Arthur is someone who has to be he has to feel a fight, and I've got the feeling Arthur's bang up for this. Arthur's asking me every day, how many English are coming? How many English are coming? Every day he's asking me the same thing, and he knows that the atmosphere in there is going to be hot. He knows there's a lot of scouts coming, a lot of English coming over. So it's going to be an interesting cauldron in Kiel next weekend.
Certainly hope so. When are you making Johnny Nelson versus Marco Huck? When is it being announced?
When?
Yeah, when's it being announced?
It was announced yesterday. Where were you? We're. You know, listen, Marco's on holiday at the moment. He's back in 10 days, and I'm going to sit down and talk to him about options. Will Johnny Nelson be discussed? Yes, it will.
I spoke to your brother about this issue.
Will a move to heavyweight be discussed? Yes, it will. You know, will a unification at cruiserweight be discussed? Yes, it will. So it's one of 4 or 5 options that we'll look at. You know.
Would you consider the Nelson option to be at the bottom of those options?
Listen, it's not at the bottom. No, did you say bottom?
Yeah.
No, it's not at the bottom of the option. It's a very interesting option. It's an exciting storyline. But like, this is professional boxing, and you have to sell it, right? So we have to look at what does that mean? What does that fight mean for Marco Huck? I'm his promoter. I'm not Johnny's promoter. I like Johnny. Get on with Johnny, but I've got to look out for Marco Huck first. I think the fight makes sense on a point of view from the storyline, absolutely. So I need to know what's the UK thinking about this. What's your opinion, Coop? Let me turn that question on.
I spoke to Johnny on the phone.
Is it a pay-per-view event?
I don't know. It's not a pay-per-view event. I
it really
believe
makes
it's
it tough. Because for me, I think if you build it right, it's a big fight. But I don't know. I can't gauge that because.
I said to Johnny, obviously Johnny's been out the ring for 9 years, right? I think he needs more of a reason just to try and expose how weak the division is, because that's what his thing was. He wants to show that he can come back after 9 years at 40 whatever years of age and show that he could beat someone like Marco Huck. This is what he said to me on the phone, so like in an interview. So this is what
I spoke to him. I mean, he didn't come across that, because I would say, Johnny, all due respect, I think the division's now a lot stronger than if you look at the champions at the moment. Marco Huck, Lebedev, Pablo Hernandez, right? Even Vladarchik at the pole. Have you been following the cruiserweight fights in recent years? Just go and download, go on YouTube tonight and have a look at Cunningham versus Hernandez Part 2. Right? Go and look at Huck versus Afolabi. Right?
I've seen Huck.
Any of them, right? All three of them. Look at okay, that was a heavyweight, but Huck Povetkin. You know, that's a cruiserweight who's gone up to heavyweight to fight Povetkin last 2 years ago. And these are performances all by this cruiserweight is full of stories, the weight class. So if I remember correctly, I'm not that much. I'm going to Johnny. I do remember the days of Johnny, and it was you know, the weight class was nowhere where it is. Can't compare it to where it is today.
I'm just saying to you what he said to me in the interview. I don't know what he's said to you, but that's what he spoke
about it. And you know, I get the storyline. I do get it. But I don't promote every week on Sky. I can't gauge these things. I can't gauge how the UK fans.
I think it's been a mixed response.
Yeah.
I think you probably get more people that say you shouldn't do it rather than should do it, if on an overall balance. But you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I've got my trusted. Let's say UK counterparts that I'll talk to, and I'll get their opinion on the fight. You know, I'll get their opinion on it, because at the end of the day, it is an interesting storyline, without a doubt.
All right. Well, listen, Kalle, thanks for giving me 16 minutes 20 seconds of your time.
I thought the average was, what was the average? About 12, no?
The average, are we talking about? What are we talking about? Interview length here.
Interview length.
Oh, right.
Say no more.
I'm falling way short if that's the case. So, Kalle, listen, we look forward to the weigh-in tomorrow.
You're looking forward to Germany?
Yeah.
Talking about 16 and 12.
Let's not go into that. one on me or James will be in Germany.
Family viewing. Is this family viewing?
What's that?
Is this family viewing? Careful with language and all.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's just a reference.
Say what you want.
Reference.
Say what you want. One on me or James will be in Germany next week. We're still discussing who, but one of us will be there.
Board level decision, or will that be?
Yeah, it goes into hierarchy. Than just me and James, it goes into the deep waters.
Right. Feeding the expense accounts and getting over.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on here next week on over the weekend and on the Thursday as well.
What can be happening in the UK when that's going on?
There's stuff going on as well. Yeah.
Board level again.
Yeah. Well, just saying. Just saying.
Oh, is it another sponsor on that shirt?
Yeah, you want to chip in with a sponsor?
No, the only thing is that pink ain't selling for me. I mean, you know, as I said, that's Vegas, but it's not Wembley.
I've just come back from Vegas. Cut me some slack, man. Kalle, listen, thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you at the weigh-in tomorrow.
It's always a pleasure, mate.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.